product, any areas, no issues.
I think you said you were married when you started. So how did you convince your wife that you are getting up to a job?
So that's the credit goes to Mr. Vijayaraghavan on that front, because he was responsible for the government coming up with this Keltron scheme. So that the initial day say I'm only on leave. So if things does not work,
You can get back.
I can get it. So 5 years that was there. So that definitely helped. It's not about convincing your wife, and convincing their parents was even more challenging than that. In telecom.
Yes.
Not changed. I also added. It's not only one industry, it's actually multiple. This is meant for multiple industries. So we are already in telecom, we are in banking, we are in transportation, it's called logistics. We do for Amex, and we also did for, that's no more deployed right now, for people like Dubai ports. So any context which is customer-centric pricing or transaction-free management, this can be deployed. So we added on to that. That's all. That is very, see, I told you that when I saw the industry, my context was, even in telecom, when I say I can also do fixed wire and mobile, they wouldn't believe it. They wanted a billing system for mobile, they wanted a separate billing system for fixed wire, and a separate billing system. And there were companies only specializing in this. But it took after a while, this, it started converging. There was it happened in post 2000. But to me, it was, I was just looking at, in a product, when you say product company or product thinking, I call it as product thinking, what does it mean? You look at an instance of a possibility and convert that into a general possibility. That is what the product thinking is all about, right? How do I generalize the context into a wider applicable possibility? So as a product person, you are continuously looking for generalizing the problem into this thing. For example, if I make a statement like, I see only electrons and protons here, I don't see anybody. Is it true? This is the truth, right? I mean, if I can look at microscopic level, I don't see you, I don't see anybody. So I see everything in this room as electrons and protons. I can see that way. But looking at you and seeing your, let us say, can I see your DNA? Then a possibility of creating, looking at the DNA, transforming into an individual like you, then I'm thinking in the product terms, right? So in other words, generalizing or reusability, that means what is coming from different dimensions about it. One is like what you're doing. I say the difference between the ape and human beings, only 42 chromosomes out of how many? Some thousands of, I don't know what's the total number. I mean, genomes. How many of you know? Anybody from biology? No. Anyway, it's only a very small fraction, right? But then you go back to the creator's ingenuity in productization. With the whole DNA, you can create a whole living species with small variations. So that is product thinking. Does that make sense? Little philosophical answer, but but let me make it slightly more. What made me think that way? It's like always trying to generalize a problem, right? So if you're, do you program? No. So, then I can, because there is in programming there's a concept called class and object. You know what it is, right? Class and object. So in real life you only see objects. Looking at object, you should be able to visualize the class. That is product thinking. Is that making sense? Or another example I can say is, see, if I look at, let us say, metal at a molecule, then I say it's let's say steel. Then I should be looking at a molecular level, a particular molecule. Then I can say there is a variant of it. But if I go down into atom level, I can create any metal. Again, I'm using No, what level you abstract your characteristics. See, I'm saying if I take this, there's so many things are common.
Same model you are taking. That told you
Yeah.
why, what thinking you did on this innovation?
This is the thinking. Saying that, hey, what they're trying to do in telco is customer-centric pricing. Then I looked at, is it applicable in any other industry? It is applicable. But nobody is doing it. So it's a white space. So I can go to that space without any. And not only that, we also looked at, hey, the need for doing this as a discrete independent system is not right. You should connect all this together and actually should be able to manage the entire value flow. Then it becomes phenomenally valuable. For example, today, let us say when I am selling a product, if that particular product is loss or am I making loss or not, I'm not knowing at that point of time. It is only known when I go in retrospect, analyze it, hey, how long I had this product in my shelf, did it, if the interest of my buying has already crossed the value, then actually I was selling that at a loss. But on the other hand, in today's terms, you are actually selling only at, and you're buying only or you're sourcing only when you're selling, like Amazon. Amazon never stock any books in their store, right? The moment you order, they're ordering from the manufacturer. Or if it is a digital, it is just getting downloaded, but everybody's revenue is shared at that point of time, right? So moving into that kind of value flow management was a possibility I realized at that point of time to get to an idea. How did you get to that thinking? The thinking is that, how do I generalize? Is it possible another way? This is applicable to any context you come across. Anyone asking you to solve a problem, if you have to create a possibility out of it, you need to have a bigger market, right? That is why how generalize, the more you generalize, the bigger market you have. Yeah. It is not only, finance was an easier choice because that was not, we had planned to go to retail and corporate, retail, we have plans to go to all the verticals. We do have healthcare, transportation, even government, smart cities. We are working with one of the largest Chinese in a gas distribution, IoT devices. So when in all these areas which we will be getting into. So that's what I am talking about. The speed at which we can we should have done this thing. That is a challenge which I am facing today. We have to go much faster than what, because the market exists and is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. It's just not addressed. The challenge is today is not the challenge is not the money, not the thing. It is the organizational culture and the capability to be agile and adaptable that fast is what need to be created. What happens is, this is one of the biggest things. The biggest learning is that you can scale organization up to a certain point. If it has to go from a good to great company, the only thing which matters is the culture of the organization. So you have to focus on building the culture of the organization. Today, my whole focus is only on that. If I can crack that problem, then it will be $1 billion company. Otherwise, it will still remain as, that's the problem which my colleagues have to help me to answer.
So, what you explained, what I look at, the core activity of SunTec has been in the building process across different sectors. We started with telecom.
Yeah.
Then we went on to banking.
Yeah.
Now we say things like gas and maybe
industry
transport system like what they're planning to provide in goods and where you integrate all the transportation systems.
Yeah.
There also probably billing comes into play and
yeah.
also is a
it is not billing, it's the pricing of transaction. Okay. Billing is only one of the options. It's not billing. We do pricing of a transaction.
And then
ultimately, sometimes you might produce bill or you'll charge immediately. Okay. So our core function is transaction pricing. Yeah. And so in transaction pricing also you've got a lot of models, but is that dynamic, post, after doing, and along with the transaction itself, real time, online, and batch. I mean, any of this possibility exist.
And you said that the market is very big, and you have, and so there's a large market out there.
Yeah.
And initially you said you have the large competitors like IBM, that's smaller in size. So even though you are very physical data, they're able to come up with a better position. Now, how do you use something when it comes to competition? Because the other thing I noticed on your website is that your partners are IBM,
Yeah.
and all that.
Right.
So, how does these things match?
No, definitely in the banking space, we are the leaders as of right now, but it's really a matter of our competition is catching up, definitely catching up. There are more than 2 or 3 competition at this moment. At this moment, we clearly has a market leadership. But we definitely have to accelerate that at a much faster pace. Now, the competition, you see, all these partners, all this competition become your partners. In today's terms, your competition can be your partner too. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. It's not, IBM might be competing in one product space, but IBM is a large organization. The services organization could be your partner. So that's not a problem. In fact, in today's terms, and also I am of a very strong belief that you shouldn't be worried about your competition, because you should be running at your own pace, right? Let the competition follow you. So if you can go at a pace which is very focused on addressing the market, you can define the path. So that is what you should be doing. I mean, I believe if you have to be a leader, you have to be doing that. That is what I mean. What that was a question, or?
Yeah. So now, how do you plan to scale? Because
You have a good process. No, that is what I said. I mean, see, the scaling up in today's terms, in any of this business, you have to crack the essence of exponential growth. Because, I told this has been 25 years. If I had to, I mean, if this has to make sense, it has to make sense in another 3-4 years. And if I will qualify myself as successful only if I can mark myself as a significant player in the global landscape and making sense of the market which I'm playing. At least X% of the market share I should have achieved. Then I can say I am successful. Till that time, it's only a story I can talk about. So if I had to consider that level, we have to grow exponentially. If I have to grow exponentially, the essence of that is the organization culture, which is adaptable, which is agile, which is able to can-do attitude. And unfortunately, sometimes when you start building up the organization in this matter, you have various your ecosystem also influencing things, and people comes with different ideas, and they are tuned with certain kind of things which they have done in the past, but all need to be reset. So to be very frank, I mean, nowadays, at least this year is my focus internally is how do you become an exponential organization. So if I can crack that code, then we will grow, because my growth is nothing to do with my competition, nothing to do with resources of money or anything of that sort, because it's not a people game. It is that efficiency and the agility of the system which is going to be. So every industry has got its own problem, right? I mean, I'm defining my problem in that form. So unless otherwise that is cracked, and I can have a linear growth. If I can, let us say, pump in resources with a lot of people, and I can still make X% a reasonably good EBITDA and can grow. But see, I have done this just sheer because of my passion to do this, right? And at some point, when the investors were also had a problem, we bought them out, right? So I don't have to don't have to answer to anybody except for a few people. To be very frank. So I enjoy what I'm doing. So if I had to do something, I have to do something meaningful, which is significant. So I'm just trying to crack this. I mean, that's my mission right now.
So do you think what is more important doing is the marketing strength?
No, At this point of time, in fact, if I just meet my existing customers' aspiration itself, we will grow at least 3 times. At least 3 times.
I remember once talking to you and Rajesh. You said faster you can follow up on the tasks assigned, faster you will go.
Yeah.
Or more efficiently you can follow up, faster you will go. Can you throw a little more light on that?
Yeah, it's again, I'm bringing this dimension of this exponential growth, right? I mean, any opportunity exists only for a very short period of time, and people who can just grab that, let us say, look at the case of Google itself. I'll put that example, right? You come out with that product, and then at that point of time, you beat the market. Once you get it, as long as you keep remain relevant and keep innovating, I mean, then the innovation is very incremental, right? Google core search engine has not changed from what it is created, but they come out with it. But they capture the market, then that's it. In any market in today's world, there is only room for 1 or 2 or 3 players, because the global space is, I mean, the world is flat, right? Not too many people have got that opportunity. So if you can just grab to point, that is the agility and exponentiality which I'm talking about. You need to be, that idea is valuable only at that point of time. That context you need to get to that front line. Then the masses will push you. Once you are in the thing, but you need to stay relevant every time. And I mean, you can have a lot of learning from Google from that perspective, right? So even look at the smartness in now they created the alphabet and this one. So all the new innovation is going to be happening in different companies. So I'm also I mean, we've done a similar form, not now. Alphabet has only happened now. We only 3 years back. I'm also doing something parallel to that. Some parallel ecosystems have been created. Some also invest in few small companies where things can be going in a different level. So, but going back to your question,
following up on the organization,
right? Execute. See, if I had to tell you, even though when I talked about this. If I look at the slowness in which the organization is, I mean, in my terms, we are faster, but in relative terms, it is slow. Is only because that is not effective. Even though I talked about that, the follow-up and execution, but that cannot be manual, right? That is where after a while, it has to be a culture of the organization. Everybody has to believe it. If you're trying to drag your people along with you, it is very hard. It can go up to a certain point. It cannot go beyond that. So that is why now you can still remain as a good company. You cannot become a great company. You can still be profitable. You can still run this for another 100 years, maybe still. But is that what you want to do? I mean, that's you have to make a call. But definitely not for me. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of, we have got international staff and people from all over the world. Yes. In fact, I mentioned about Percy, who was my first CTO. He joined us in 2000. He's a British guy. He didn't live here, but he was half of his time. Yeah, but recently my head of delivery is Mr. Lauka. He's the Dutch person. He lives here in Toronto.
Do you think that because people they debate a lot a second
No, we have actually created. We have got 3 other centers. One is in Chennai, one is in Bangalore, another one is in Kochi. So we got satellite location considering the same problem, because we didn't want to say we are a product business. People learned our product. We want to retain our people as much as possible. And people used to, let us say, we have got almost 40% women, more than 50%, almost 50%. Right? 50% is women employees. So for them, they get married, they go to Bangalore. We don't want to lose them. So we had Bangalore as another location.
Any difference between these locations as cultural,
I mean, that's a long conversation which we can have. I mean, naturally, yes. I said, the problem is, I have a theory for this. The nature is very kind to us. So, it's a resort place. People feel little laid back once you are within Trivandrum. Yeah? But once you're outside, it's a different, the same people behave differently. So,
They behave differently in Trivandrum and Kochi.
possible. That also a little bit of, where is Prakash? He should be able to say that. It's gone about. But yes, maybe, this is the context. Let us face it. That is where, I allow the culture of, let us say, Apple, which is existing. If you really look at the cult mindset, if you can create that kind of what do you call innovation culture, or that kind of passion for excellence within your organization, you can have a great company. So, but it is influenced by, I have a lot of theories about it. This is my personal, because, we Indians, we have, if you look at a sculpture between an Indian artist and a Western artist, you see the difference in what is known as finesse. The finesse of the finish, right? So there is a huge difference, right? We like what you call an abstraction at a certain level, but they go very, very fine grain. So that level of, but now today we are dealing with a global market. So going to that level of finesse is what is required in a product listing. So that is a key point. Bringing that as a culture within our people is definitely a different game. So that are some of the key things which really need to go through. I don't know. I haven't got an answer to that. I'm struggling. I'm still trying to find out. And if people can see the possibility, really connect to that, and you can do some great things, amazing stuff. And one thing which I'm really proud of is the kind of customers which we could convince and got. If you can look at some of our customers, this is all global deals, and we are deploying for all across the globe for many clients. And this becomes the most critical system, business critical system at some point. And we have associated, one of the beauties that once we acquire a customer is that this customer is forever, life. They never would go away. We have got AMC revenues. As long as you stay relevant and keep updating their software. So we can keep innovating and further. And so that's the beauty of a product. This thing. It's not transaction. But for example, if you're in service, you put somebody 10 people today, tomorrow you're only 2 people, your business is gone. It's not that. This is part of their whole operating platform. So your growth is always exponential. The core of the revenue model itself is that is what you should track, and that's how it should. That making sense? Yeah. Yeah, yes. We interestingly, very few people know us even locally. You understand? So what we do, we market very point specific. We market in areas where our customers notice. Right? So we go to places, events, for example, Cybos is one of the major events where more than 8,000 senior level executives comes at one place. So there we spend significant amount of money. We have a major presence, we show out, then we are in their conference speaking lots. We talk about future of banking, and we bring in big time thinkers in those areas and bring them in. So we advertise, or we show our presence. Marketing is showing a presence in a level. But to me, I am a great believer of your product to sell by itself, right? So once you have that reached that level, it's all about making your product presence felt, or just made it. And in today's terms, you don't have to. If you can create a great website and your product is that good, you see, overnight one video clip in YouTube can touch 21 million people, right? That's a story of what Adal has done overnight. In about 24 hours, it was 22 million or something. Yeah? You know that story, right? This is overnight, 24 hours. So that is the possibility of marketing that exists today. So I don't think you should, if you're trying to create significant organization, you should be trying to look at possibilities of digital marketing. And for that, the first thing is that you should be absolutely good internally than externally. So if let me say, if I go back to my core philosophy, you shouldn't be selling a product. People should be taking a product. Then it should work. That's what, and if you go to any Apple store, there's no salespeople there, right? There's only people who explain things to you. Any Apple store. Apple do advertise philosophically. That's the thing. That is true.
One of your interviews, you have talked so much about Apple products.
It influenced me big time because what do you think? To be very frank, I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs for various reasons on that front. It is because of one of the thought was, if we can bring in that finance in enterprise software, this will be easily a $50 billion company. No, I don't know. I think you can be a $100 billion company too. That's what I'm saying. It's not me. Anybody can create it here. I'm not talking about SunTec per se. But that's an opportunity that exists. Because
But I don't think I've seen any other entrepreneur who identifies himself with
that is, whether it is right or not, that's a different thing, but I still feel this. The point is very simple. If every entrepreneur in the US had felt that, it is not, in the early days, if you really look at the history of the US, those entrepreneurs who really made those places great, right? So every people in this world thinks, hey, if we can only go to Silicon Valley and make it, then that's wrong. That place will be good. If you can do it here, you got some value. You got only one life anyway. We can do something in one place that is more meaningful than.
Sometime in life, somebody must have told you that you should move to US.
So he is witness to a lot of such conversation. In fact, there were VCs refused investment because I refused to move to Silicon Valley. So it is not. It's not.
The base here at least have a Silicon Valley.
No. In fact, our own investor, they said at some point. You would Raj, and at least we said, hey, if that case, we will open up an office in Silicon Valley. That is also the thing. In today it doesn't. And I travel to Silicon Valley quite often. I had a very interesting conversation on that. Probably I can see in 2000. I was trying to, I was selling the software to Indian telcos. It was Airtel, Reliance, and Idea, which was Escotel at that time. I lost out only because I used Vendor Mentors. Not because of anything else. But I was obsessed with the idea that I will only use. I had US subsidiary. I could have easily printed US label at that point of time. So it went to the extent, the last minute, I thought these guys should love me, right? Because it's an Indian, compared to the American company, and they said, no, Indian product, we don't believe in you guys. Actually, if those three deal, we were shortlisted as the number one. But finally, it went to, this happened just because Airtel went to IPO, just because of the branding which they wanted for the IPO, they went for Lucent. So because billing system is critical. So maybe, on the other hand, had I used US address, it would have been a different perspective. You can charge more also. Even today, that is possible to selling. But we always used to say we are from, many times, Trivandrum, are you from Toronto? That is another thing which is there. So they can't say this place. So we had a lot of funny conversation like that. So I always use, Google Maps nowadays to go and say, this is where we are. Yeah, that's true.
Questions from that side?
Yeah.
Those who want to start the business, young entrepreneurs, what would be your suggestion? Start after studies itself, directly into the business, or work for a few years, then go on.
I think you need some experience. That's my view. That's what I thought when I planned myself. But if you really look at some of the great companies in the world, that's not the case, right? People also did along with their studies, but it depends on what you qualify as the study. If it's the basic studies, definitely you should finish your basic studies. Your what you call post-masters, then it's a different conversation. That could be done along with your entrepreneurship and things like that. But at least understanding some dynamics about running a business, and I consciously went for just study the MBA just to understand all dynamics about business, which was useful to me personally. Many things on a day-to-day basis. So it was useful. But you've got a group of people, definitely each one can complement each other. Say there is a technology guy, there is a finance guy, at least basic qualification, then it's not required. So it depends on the context. But personally, I adopted the other way. So 5 years was good enough for me, but during that time, I definitely learned all dynamics about it. See, there I could say that I will do something because I knew I can do it. Right? So I never promised anything which I could not do. But that is when you scale up after a while, you see that that is the point when I talked about the culture of the organization. You can scale up intuitively, personally, you can scale up to what you can do. When you start getting things done by others, other people are joining, then you can manage it to a certain extent for a certain level of growth. After that, it is only values which matters. Because it has to be single organism, the whole organization, right? Which is only not by structure and other things. It's very difficult to maintain that level of, especially knowledge-based industry. It has to be the values and the passion, and everybody has to believe in it and connect to that. Then only it can scale up beyond.